What if the designer of the iPhone is now building the device that could replace it? We did the research. Here's how Johnny Ive and OpenAI's $6.5 billion bet might change tech forever.
Sam is a rare visionary. He shoulders incredible responsibility, but his curiosity, his humility remain utterly inspiring.
Johnny is the deepest thinker of anyone I've ever met. What that leads him to be able to come up with is unmatched. Morning, John.
Hey, Sam. Good, how you doing? Good.
So what is this announcement we're talking about?
2 years ago, John and I started talking about what the future of AI and new kinds of computers was going to look like. I was running OpenAI. Johnny's running a design firm called LoveFrom that had established itself as really the, I think, densest collection of talent that I've ever heard of in one place and probably has ever existed in the world. And it became very quickly apparent to both of us that we needed a third company.
Hi, Kelly. So we're hearing that OpenAI has now agreed to buy Johnny Ive's AI startup. It's called IO Products. It's a roughly $6.4 billion deal. Ives is legendary in Silicon Valley. He's best known for designing the iPhone, the Mac, iPod, and iPad, as well as Apple Watch. So really an iconic designer.
Stop your feet up, clap your hands and join us. Come on, get down with us.
Who is Johnny Ive? And why was he so instrumental in shaping the world's most valuable company?
I've always felt a particular connection with people who create, who have ideas, who make. A connection that transcends age or discipline. And while we practice in many different ways as designers, painters, sculptors, writers, and architects, our work essentially comes from the same place. So with the sincere hope of being useful, I would like to share a little of my personal journey with you. And while it is personal, I hope it resonates as the journey of a fellow creative.
Born in February 1967 in Chingford, just outside London, Jonathan Joni Ive grew up surrounded by ideas and tools. His father was a silversmith and teacher, his mother a psychotherapist. Dyslexic and quiet, he spent his childhood dismantling radios, fascinated not just by how things worked, but by how they felt. He studied industrial design at Newcastle Polytechnic, where minimalism and precision became his language. After graduation, he joined a small London design agency. But he found himself clashing with clients who thought his ideas were too bold, too expensive, too forward-thinking. He felt stuck until an opportunity arrived from across the Atlantic. A short visit to San Francisco exposed him to a culture of possibility, and in 1992, he moved to California to join Apple. The company was struggling, its future uncertain, but Johnny believed in the promise of design-led innovation. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, he found a kindred spirit in Ive. The two quickly formed a powerful creative bond. Jobs once said Joni cared about design the way he cared about Apple. Their synergy wasn't just professional, it was personal. Together, they transformed Apple's identity. From the iMac to the iPod, the iPhone to the MacBook and beyond, Johnny's vision shaped not just products, but how the world experiences technology. His designs were clean, elegant, and deeply human. Even after Steve's death, the bond endured. Johnny became close with Laurene Powell Jobs, who would later back his ventures outside Apple. He left the company in 2019, but not the mission. With LoveFrom and now a new venture with OpenAI, He's chasing the next revolution. Technology designed not just to work, but to inspire. From a dyslexic kid in East London to the man who helped define the digital age, Jony Ive's story isn't just about design. It's about conviction, creativity, and the belief that technology, at its best, is profoundly human. Presented by Future Pulse, Apple design guru Jony Ive is set to become a billionaire thanks to a bold new deal with OpenAI. Here's everything you need to know. The legendary designer behind the iPhone is stepping into the world of artificial intelligence. And this time, he's not just shaping a product, he's shaping the future. OpenAI has announced it will acquire Ive's AI hardware startup, I.O., in an all-stock deal worth $6.5 billion. It's a move that could push his net worth past the billion-dollar mark. Sources estimate that Ive owns around 11% of I.O., translating into OpenAI shares valued at roughly $715 million. The stock will vest gradually over several years, and the deal is still awaiting regulatory approval. But even without this, Jony Ive's legacy is undeniable. For nearly 30 years at Apple, he helped design some of the most iconic products ever made. He also built a real estate portfolio worth over $100 million and runs Love From, a design firm generating more than $200 million a year. In his own words, we are sitting at the beginning of what I believe is the greatest technological revolution of our time. I have a growing sense that everything I've learned over the last 30 years has led me to this moment. Founded in 2023, I.O. emerged from a collaboration between Love From and a small group of former Apple colleagues. Their goal? To rethink AI hardware from the ground up.
Is we had both a very strong shared vision. We maybe didn't know exactly where we were going to go, but like the direction of the force vector felt clear. And then this deeply shared sense of values about what technology should be, when technology's been really good, when it's gone wrong.
I mean, that was in a way one of the basis, I think, for one of the reasons Sam and I clicked was, despite our wonderfully different journeys to this point, our motivations and values are completely the same.
Not just to function, but to feel human. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, says their first product has already captured their imagination. The details are still under wraps, but the ambition is clear. To create tools that make artificial intelligence truly intuitive. That's a hard challenge. AI hardware has seen more hype than success. Meta, Google, Humane, Rabbit. Each tried, each failed to catch on. Ive hasn't held back in his criticism, calling many of those products poorly made. Now he's taking on the challenge himself. Born in London, Jony Ive joined Apple in 1992, drawn to the optimism of Silicon Valley. Over the decades, he helped create the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, the MacBook, and the Apple Watch. His work didn't just define Apple, it defined a generation of consumer technology. But Ive didn't shape Apple's design legacy alone. From 2006 to 2008, Tony Fadell played a pivotal role in the hardware design and development of the first 3 generations of the iPhone. After leaving Apple in 2010, he co-founded Nest Labs, the company behind the Nest Learning Thermostat, later acquired by Google. And behind the clean lines and minimalist ethos of Apple's aesthetic? Dieter Rams, the legendary German industrial designer, was a major influence. His less but better philosophy directly inspired the iPod's iconic form. In 2019, Ive stepped away from Apple and launched Love From, a design studio named after a conversation with Steve Jobs. Built on principles of clarity, craft, and restraint, it worked with Apple, Ferrari, Airbnb, and Moncler. At the same time, Ive began investing heavily in San Francisco real estate. Between 2020 and 2024, he spent more than $150 million acquiring and redeveloping a cluster of buildings in the Jackson Square neighborhood, a design campus in the making, anchored by the historic Little Fox Theater. Now, with I.O. absorbed into OpenAI, Love From will remain independent, but focus primarily on OpenAI projects. 2 distinct teams, one vision: engineering and design working side by side. Ive won't join OpenAI directly. He'll continue leading from Lovefrom, guiding the creative direction behind the new devices. And he's approaching this new chapter with conviction. He believes that well-designed technology can elevate human potential, that it can inspire, not just perform. And he's not the only one who believes. The mysterious AI gadget being developed by OpenAI and Johnny Ive has already received a quiet but powerful endorsement from Laurene Powell Jobs. She is the widow of Steve Jobs and an investor in Ive's ventures, and she stands to profit from the project's success. But more than that, her support signals something deeper, that this device may be more than just another piece of tech. We still don't know exactly what it is, but we do know who's building it, and that for now is more than enough. We are quite literally on the brink of a new generation of technology, one that can make us our better selves. Apple revolutionized hardware, but its biggest weakness may be showing in AI. Siri, once a marvel, now lags far behind today's most advanced voice models. Meanwhile, OpenAI, a younger player, is defining the frontier. If Apple wants to stay relevant in the next era of technology, it has one race to catch up in artificial intelligence. You've been watching a Future Pulse original. Thanks for joining us. We hope you found it thought-provoking. If you did, give the video a like and subscribe for more bold ideas and the visionaries shaping tomorrow's world.